was here, and she looks at me with this face, and she goes, "My mom read your titty article," and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like that article is definitely made her mom is like straight up most traditional, like prude person in the world, and she's like, "Yeah, all I saw was a girl with her boob out," and I'm like, "Oh, it was blurred," and it was so fucking weird. But I
I
don't
love
like
it.
get embarrassed, so my wife can say, she knows she can say she saw the titty article, and I was like, "Oh my god, it's meant for like 18 to 35-year-old males, not 50-year-old single moms that go to church every Saturday night."
Ooh, sounds hot. Let's get loaded. Welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast.
Where we never finish first, because we finish last.
Nice. My name is Ben Morgan, and that is DJ Primo, and this is the Loaded Box Podcast. I apologize. I was a little hard on that welcome. Not hard, but a little. It's going to hurt your ears. I apologize for doing that. But what DJ was talking about was hilarious because if you haven't been paying attention to us on Twitter, you can find us on Twitter at Loaded Box.
What the fuck was that?
Holy cow. Fell out of my
Flush the
chair
toilet?
there. We launched our website and we've been pumping out articles. Thanks a bunch to our authors. Make sure you check them out on Twitter as well. Give them a follow. We got gobs of content right now, and it's all really
Yeah.
good. NFL news, funny stuff, fantasy football articles, keeper league articles. You name it, man, we've got it going on right now. And you wrote a nice. Well, why don't you talk about your article for a second?
I just did a recap of the things, like newsworthy stuff that's happened in the NFL year, in a little more funny, like, relaxed setting. And it started off with a lot of talk about Ezekiel Elliott and his titties, and then suspended, and that's where the titties came in. Because my head picture is him flashing that girl's tit in New Orleans.
So funny because, like you said, like our demo is like males 18, 40-ish, and
Yeah.
then you got your mother-in-law reading that article, and
No,
that is
she stopped reading after like a minute. She goes, "Yeah, I don't think this article's for me."
perfect. That's literally what we're going for.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you shouldn't have read that at all.
Thanks for the click,
So I
Mom.
wonder how she's gonna look at me now. Maybe
Oh,
she wants
yeah.
to see your titties.
I just wonder how you're going to look at her.
Yeah,
It's going to be
I
even
know, right?
better. Nice. Well, it is Wild Card Weekend in the NFL, and we're going to do a little Wild Card Weekend preview pod.
Rock hard.
We're going to do a little daily fantasy. We're going to do some against the spread, just talk about the games in general. So I hope you're ready for some matchups because in the AFC here, we've got the Titans and the Chiefs on Saturday. On Sunday, we got the Bills at the Jags. And on the Sunday, we got the Falcons at the Rams and the Panthers at the Saints. So let's kick it off with a little Saturday action. Titans at Chiefs. We got the Chiefs favored by 9 here. What are your thoughts on this game? Do you got any feelings straight up against the spread?
Well, obviously, Chiefs straight up here with 9-point favorite in a playoff game. But if I'm going against the spread, talking against the spread here, I'm taking Kansas City. Tennessee is so bad, and they're just so bad against bad teams that I don't care if they beat Jacksonville next week. I'm going to assume that you were right with your spread pick and say that Jacksonville let them win
Yes.
for the purposes of that. Because I don't think Tennessee can do anything if a team wants them not to do something. Like, I feel like they're that bad. Like, Mariota's just throwing picks. They can't run the ball. It's just, their secondary is awful. I don't like anything about them. I think they should get blown out, like, on the road against a good team. I think there's zero chance, no matter who the Titans are playing, that I would pick the Titans. They're just bad. They shouldn't even be in this. I'm so disappointed they're in the playoffs.
The only team I maybe in the AFC would have given them a chance of those that were potential of making the playoffs would have been the Ravens, and they shit down the side of their leg as well against the
Yeah, but
Bengals.
the Ravens would just scored like 5 defensive touchdowns on Tennessee.
That's true. And I'm with you, man. I told you that the Jags were tanking that game just to let the Titans in the playoffs. The sheer fact that they maybe win a game and play the Jaguars would welcome that. That Week 17 game meant nothing to them. That's just a big joke. So you like the Chiefs straight up and against the spread?
Yep.
All right, so do I. And my reasoning, it's more than it's really close to yours. More than liking Kansas City, it's my dislike of Tennessee. And I probably sound like a hypocrite if you've listened to our podcast before, because I was all about Tennessee. But the reason I was all about Tennessee, it was because I was about them winning the division. not thinking that they were a great team. I'm not a believer in the Jaguars, you know that. But I just really dislike the Titans. And like you said, any of these teams they're going to play in the playoffs, they're going down to. But my one worry that I have with the Chiefs in this game is that the Chiefs' offense goes with Kareem Hunt, it goes with the ground game. And Tennessee finished fourth in the NFL. They allow under 90 rushing yards per game. So if Tennessee does stop the run, this is going to fall on Alex Smith's shoulders. And in the past, when the Chiefs have made the playoffs, that's literally what's cost them is been Alex Smith's performance, and that's the reason why they're drafting guys like Pat Mahomes.
Tennessee's so bad, I feel like you can just throw that stat out the window, though.
Yeah, maybe.
I just think they're so bad that that's not even relevant in this type of situation. Like, if there's like a Duke playing against like a Lehigh, but Lehigh's a really good offensive rebounding team, so maybe they'll have a chance. No, it's just a really bad team that doesn't have a chance against a team that's just much more talented.
That's true. That might be a little bit of of a reach there. We're talking about number one Duke in college basketball in Lehigh, and no one even knows where Lehigh is.
Yeah, me neither.
Nice. We talked about your blog. In my blog, so I did a rapid fire reaction blog about all the NFL teams that made the playoffs. Just kind of like a quick hitter, like they're done, they're good, this is why. I mean, they're going to be out after a couple rounds, so check that out if you haven't yet. But I said in there that the Titans offense also goes with their running game, and that's just been terrible recently. I heard earlier today DeMarco Murray is out, so it's going to be a one-man show with Derrick Henry. Yep. They rushed 39 times last week for just over 100 yards. They only averaged 3 yards per carry. And that Jags run defense, they finished 21st in the league in rushing yards allowed per game. So it wasn't even like they were going against a stellar run defense. So the Chiefs aren't that great against the run either, but I don't think it's going to matter. This is a huge line, especially for a playoff game. There's no way I'm taking Tennessee. It's not that I like the Chiefs against the spread, but if I had to take them, I probably would take them.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll bet on this game, but I would never take the Titans.
No.
Ever.
Absolutely not. I'll take a team that's not even in the playoffs and just try my luck.
Honestly, if the Chargers and the Titans were playing,
oh gosh,
I would still take the Chargers like -7.
I'm so upset that the Chargers aren't in because we kind of called it. We said that Rivers was going to take over that Week 17 game if they had any chance of making it, and what he just went off 3+ touchdowns. They just murdered the shit out of them, and then they don't get to make it. So let's go on to the NFC game on Saturday. We got the Falcons at the Rams. Rams favored by a touchdown here, favored by 7. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, I did say I do think the Rams will win this game and advance, but I do think Atlanta is good enough to cover the spread here +7. I just think they're good enough, talented enough. Matt Ryan sucks, but they have enough talent all around. Like they're good enough just in general, I think, to overcome Matt Ryan sucking. With Devontae Freeman. Maybe Julio can bust out and have a good game finally.
It seems like he does that in the playoffs. What? It seems like Julio's the kind of guy that does play better in the playoffs, though.
Yeah, if Matt Ryan would just give him a chance in this type of game and just throw the ball up to him when he's in trouble, it's probably going to work out better.
Right.
Defense seems to be coming around a little bit. Fix Beasley's finally getting healthy. So I do think they're good enough to keep it close and be in the game at the end of the game. I just don't think they'll win it. So
if you're going against the spread here, you're taking the Falcons.
Yes.
I'm having a hard time believing that you didn't just copy my notes. Because
I didn't look at 1 second of your notes.
Well, we are matching on this one because straight up, I'm taking the Rams all day against the spread, though I am taking the Falcons. And I've said it before, I have no faith in the Falcons this year. I'm predicting an early exit of the playoffs from them. I'd be really surprised if they won this game. In the playoffs, it seems like sometimes you'll find a team that kind of sneaks in with like 9 or 10 wins, and they'll emerge. They'll get hot in the playoffs. And Atlanta literally has that team on paper. But we've seen them play for 16 games already. They've literally given me no reason to believe that all of a sudden they're going to turn on that 30-point-per-game offense that they had last year. Like, I've seen nothing about this. And I don't know. I still think LA is going to win it. I do think that Atlanta's experience will give them a chance. I think that they'll stay within a touchdown. The key for Atlanta here is I think they have to stop Gurley, and that seems really obvious. But go ahead.
I almost wonder if maybe the key for Atlanta is the fact that they snuck into the playoffs, and now they have that weight off their shoulders.
Oh, yeah.
Now that they they lost that Super Bowl and they were playing so bad.
No pressure
and, like,
now.
Yeah, and now it's just like, okay, we've made it, we can fucking play again, and maybe that'll help them as well.
So what I said in my article was I think that if they're able to stop Gurley, and if they actually force a second-year quarterback in Goff to beat you, which he can, he's shown that he's taken a nice step forward this year. But the playoffs we've seen, they're a different animal, and for how much people like Goff, I mean, I like Goff. You can't really still feel 100% confident in him, though. I just combined Goff and confident and called it confident.
Nice.
But I don't feel it, though. The playoffs are a different animal. Atlanta has all this playoff experience. LA literally has none. I mean, they haven't even dreamt about the playoffs.
Yeah, they fucking have never seen a football team for a long time. Now they have two.
Right. Yeah, no shit. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think Atlanta's going to win this game. I don't want to say that I doubt LA, but I just don't think this is going to be their year. And I think it's going to end up coming down to experience. But yeah, against the spread, I'm probably taking the Falcons here as well. Are you more confident in that Falcons pick or in your Chiefs pick?
I'm more confident in the Chiefs pick. The NFC is so good, and I don't know what the Falcons are going to bring in that game. And the Rams, they can be up and down too. I think everybody expects them to be explosive at all times, but they're not always that way. And Todd Gurley's not going to go for 4 touchdowns every game.
What you just said there about LA is why I think I'm more confident in my Falcons pick than my Chiefs pick.
I don't know what I'm going to get 100%.
Yeah. Let's go on to Sunday. We got Bills at the Jags. Who'd have thought that, 1, the Jaguars would make the playoffs. 2, they'd almost be double-digit favorites. In a playoff game, they're favored by 9 over the Bills. What do you feel about this one?
I'm taking the AFC home team -9 here versus Buffalo. I'm honestly worried that Buffalo may not get a first down in this entire game. I'm not even joking. Like, I'm worried about
You're the
Buffalo.
President of the Tyrod Taylor fan
I know,
club.
I love them. But guess what? I also love the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this is like the most fucked up game for me.
Yeah, what do you do? Cheer for overtime?
I love both these teams. And I've decided that I'm going to cheer for the Jaguars in this game.
Oh,
Sorry,
wow.
Thyroid. I love you. I'm going to cheer for you to tear it up. But I want the Jaguars to win. I'm a Blake Bortles supporter as well.
You're in a no-lose situation. That's what you're doing. You painted the picture
it is.
for yourself.
I win either way. Let's be honest. Packers are out of the playoffs, and I win either way with this game. Because I can be cocky. But I just don't think they have any offensive weapons. They've got no Shady or half a Shady, if he is playing.
Yeah, that's just called shade.
No wide receivers, and a tight end who's like questionable every fucking game.
Yeah, it's true.
What are they gonna do? Like, I mean,
they're gonna run Mike Tolbert. That's what they're gonna do.
But they can, like, the Jaguars' secondary is so fucking good. They can put 8 in the box and cover everybody man to man. These wide receivers aren't beaten. Kelvin Benjamin can't get open. He's fat as fuck, and it's just you force them to throw the ball, and it seems like the Jaguars are gonna win that matchup against the Bills every single time. I seriously think we're going to see the least amount of first downs in a game by a football team in the NFL than we ever seen.
We could see a record for punts. We could see a record for punts. I wouldn't go against that. You remember when you were little and when we would play football? Really little now, I'm talking. How you wouldn't always have to go back over the other side of the line of scrimmage. Like if you were on offense, like the ball just went back to the quarterback and you could just stand there. Did you ever play football like that?
I don't know.
That's the kind of league that Calvin Benjamin would dominate in. You don't need to run a route. You can just stand there, stand in the secondary, and then find your own way to get open from there. Like I think that's the league that Calvin Benjamin would thrive in. So if we could start a league, he'd be my first round pick in that. But straight up, think I'm taking the Jags. If Shade ends up being shady, if he ends up being 100% healthy here, I don't know if he will. I heard game time decision. The Bills might be my upset pick. I'm not sold on the Jaguars here. Against the spread, I'm definitely taking the Bills. You talked about the secondary. Everyone knows about the secondary. But they're just 21st against the run. Bills are that team. They're going to rely on the run no matter what. They're not much for passing. They're 6th in rushing yards per game, 31st in passing yards per game. They average under 180 passing yards per game. So it doesn't matter. So the Jaguars' biggest strength on the entire team, that pass defense, is kind of nullified because of the fact that the Bills don't care. They're not going to try to go downfield. I think
You ever
Buffalo.
wonder if the reason the Jags are 21st against the run is because their secondary is so good that teams run it like 50 times a game, and then if you pick up 2 yards per game, 2 yards per carry after running it 50 times with either quarterback and running back, you've got 100 yards every game, or 100 and 150 yards, or depending on who's running the ball, because they're running the ball so much. Maybe they're not actually as bad against the run as what that number shows.
You are an asshole for bringing that up because I have no defense for that one.
Yeah.
I kind of believe it.
Just saying.
Yeah, in this game though, I'm just not a believer in that Jaguars offense. Still, I don't see the Jaguars blowing them up. I see the Bills keeping them on the ground, and if they can I think they'll stay within a touchdown. This is probably this of the 4 games this weekend is my most confident against the
No,
spread
not
pick.
me.
Taking the Bills, book it.
I'm on -9 Jacksonville.
All right, I'll bet you. We'll talk after the pod.
Jag it off.
Jagging off. Panthers at Saints, the final one here on Sunday. We got the Saints favored by 7. What do you got here?
Again, I'm doing the same thing over and over again. I got Carolina. I'm taking Carolina +7. I actually think I'm taking Carolina against the spread and straight up in this game.
Wow, ballsy.
Yeah, I got swagger. New Orleans' strength offensively is running the ball. I mean, Drew Brees has been, honestly, average this year.
Yeah.
He has not been good. He has struggled. I mean, he had a really tough game against a Packers team with Brett Hundley playing, where they kept them in that whole game because he threw 2 or 3 interceptions at that game. He just looked bad, and that was one of the worst secondaries in all of the league. He just didn't look good, and there's been multiple games like that. And Carolina's strength defensively is against the run. So I think they'll kind of take that away and force Drew Brees to throw the ball. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not very confident in Drew Brees right now, which is kind of
Crazy.
going against what I'm my later pick. So that's going to be interesting.
You are
But
covering all bases today.
I'm not fully confident in him. I'm just saying. And let's be honest, Cam's back in the playoffs, and Cam has that playoff swag. I think he comes out cockier, hanging his dick out than ever, and when he has that fucking dick hanging out, I don't think anybody can stop that swinging cock Cam has when he's got it.
Can't say I've ever seen this, but I'll take
Yeah.
your word for it.
Yeah.
Do you believe in the whole it's hard to beat a team 3 times, like that cliche? Do you actually believe in that? Because the Saints beat the Panthers twice already.
Did you see the Bills video?
No.
There is this Bills video where it was New Year's, they were all like crying about the Bills win on New Year's Eve. The Bills win against
The Dolphins?
or the Bills getting into the playoffs when the Ravens lost.
Yes, yeah.
And this guy is like, we're gonna upset the Jaguars, and then we're gonna beat Pittsburgh, no problem. You still have me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. And he's like, then we're gonna beat Pittsburgh, no problem. And then New England, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. And then the entire crowd starts chanting, hard to beat a team 3 times. And it's incredible that they're so fucking moronic that they think they'll get to play the Patriots, but they just kept saying that. I think that's a dumb. I mean, if somebody has you numbered, they just are better than you.
I want to see like the stats on it because there's something to it. I feel like at some level, I don't know though. It's just hard to like hang your hat on
Depends
that
on the
idea.
2 teams.
Yeah, I mean,
Like Carolina and New Orleans, yeah, I can see that.
right, but yeah, I don't know. I don't really believe in that either. Straight up here, I do like the Saints straight up. Against the spread though, I'm with you here. I'm going to take the Panthers.
Yeah.
Saints scored over 30 points in both of those games. They won by more than 6 in both of those games as well. So if that stat lives on, Saints would end up covering the spread here. But I see Carolina making some adjustments. Like you said, they're kind of playing without any pressure either. They made it into the playoffs. They had a pretty good year, even though their offense was inconsistent.
Yeah.
I think they're going to keep this one close. You hit the nail on the head. Breeze hasn't been asked to do as much as he normally is. They're just rolling Ingram and Kamara, basically. And you talked about the Panthers' defense, 3rd in the NFL in rushing yards allowed per game. They allow under 90, so that's going to be a huge thing for them, obviously. That inconsistency, the lack of production on the outside, I talked about the offseason for the Panthers. They need a receiver. They need someone that can get separation on the outside and pair with Funches. I think Funches is better suited as a number 2.
Don't talk about funchies like that.
I think that they'll make adjustments in the offseason, get someone like that, but for now, I don't think they'll win this game. I think they can keep it within 6, though. So I will take the
You know what
Panthers against the spread.
You know what I hope to see someday?
Where do you want me to go with this?
No, I hope to see Thyroid matched up with Fun Cheese. Oh my god, that's like my dream.
Yeah, what
Fairy.
would you do? Jeez.
I would be so happy.
And if they
I'd be the happiest guy on earth.
if they played with the Jaguars and their defense,
Oh my god.
You wouldn't
Thyroid and Fun Cheese and the Jaguars.
you'd forget all about the
my.
Packers. Well, I need to crown you. Moving on, I need to crown you champion here in our Invisible Playoff Bucket Challenge.
Oh yeah,
You ended up winning. You kind of called it how you said, like,
kind of.
whoever got that last spot in the AFC was going to win it, and then neither of our neither of our teams did. Then you had me by 2, so you beat me by 2. And one of the biggest reasons is because you ended up. I went back and looked. You added the Seahawks a week before I did, when I was considering it as well. So if I would have put them in the same time you did, we would have tied. But you were a little bit more
Both of our
ballsy than
teams
me.
did, by the way. Not neither of our teams did. Both of our teams got in.
Oh yeah, we just had one wrong team.
Yeah.
That's how it turned out.
Yep.
But you ended up beating me by those 2 points, thanks to probably the Seahawks. So I need to crown you champion, and I want to hear your acceptance speech.
Let's be honest. I've been saying the Seahawks have been garbage all year, so props to me on that one. Called that one. I even said Seattle should probably win this game, but I don't trust Seattle to do anything against Arizona. And then they go ahead and they lose that game, and it didn't matter because Atlanta had won. But I'd like to thank God, because I feel God in this room tonight in this Chili's. So there's an office line for you.
Every week.
I don't have much to say. I also won our wide receiver league, so I'd like to take props for that. So right now I'm just waking up in the morning and I'm pissing excellence.
Yeah,
That's
you
really
have been
all it
on
comes
fire.
down to.
You've been on fire. So, well, maybe you can stretch that over to some daily fantasy picks here. You said you did a
maybe
stack
you
this
could
week.
Get me a beer somehow, real quick.
Did you end up doing a stack this week for daily fantasy?
I did
with
do a
only
stack. It's not
4
the
games?
sleeper stack because it's wild card round of the playoffs, so sleepers weren't looking very good anyways.
Tough one, yes.
So I would have had to fucking throw you some shitty ass players. I was thinking about Sean Mannion or something like that.
Nice.
You know what I wanted to go back and do is read my statement on Tyrod Taylor and how much it stands right now back when he got benched, because I'm pretty sure I put a curse on Peterman at that time. So that's beside the point, but I'm pretty excited about that. That has nothing to do with my stack here.
No, it's fine. But Little Peterson might be done. Little Peterman. I'm all over the board today.
Yeah.
You talk.
My stack this week that I think that you should be using here, I alluded to it just a second ago, but said bad things about them. Now I'm coming back to Drew Brees, 8,100 versus Carolina, and Michael Thomas, $8,300, obviously versus Carolina. I think, like I said, Carolina's run defense is really good. So if the Saints are going to win this game, they have to do it. I think they'll have to be able to throw the ball, and that puts it on Drew Brees. So I'm not going to sit here and be dumb and naive and think that he necessarily is going to be bad all the time. He's still Drew Brees. I think there's a chance that he struggles because he hasn't been amazing this year. But at the same time, if I've seen people say this stuff like that about Tom Brady. He's fallen off the radar. I don't want to be that guy. I just think there's a chance he hasn't been consistent. He doesn't look great. But if you have to put the game on his shoulders, I think that you're probably putting it on the right guy's shoulders, whether it's Tom Brady, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, all in that class right there. So I'm taking Drew Brees against that porous Carolina secondary with Michael Thomas.
I love the theory, man. You're on both sides of the fence. You legit are going to be right and you're going to be wrong, and all you need to do is highlight the being right.
I could be right twice if it really was just a medium game for both of them.
Yeah, that could be perfect because you could get into a high-scoring matchup. They could lose, and he could still go for 4 touchdowns.
And 3 interceptions.
I like it. So I kind of led on to my quarterback. I'm going to go with Alex Smith. He's $7,800. I was really between him and Goff, but Goff was the most expensive, and I'd rather not use the most expensive quarterback here. We talked about how the Titans were good against the run. This is going to be Alex Smith's game to step up and perform. We talked about how some teams don't really have any weight on their shoulders. I think all of the weight right now is on Alex Smith's shoulders, and it's going to be up to him to push the team forward, prove that I think teams know that he's a starting quarterback, but the Chiefs need to figure that out. And I think Alex Smith is this is the year. This is the kind of game that he needs to step up and he needs to start winning. So I'm going to go with him. Titans 25th versus the pass. He's only the fourth most expensive quarterback option. I think this is his week to step up and play. So some of these quarterbacks you want to avoid, man. Like, I don't like Tyrod. I don't like Blake Bortles.
No, I hate him.
I think you need to take one of the top 4 guys, and I think Alex Smith has that opportunity at a cheaper price to match a guy. Oh my God,
that's just disgusting to say.
It does. It is. I mean, what are you thinking about running backs this week?
Running back, I'm going bargain here now. I'm looking at Derrick Henry, 6,500 at Kansas City.
No Murray. What was his price?
No Murray, 6,500.
Wow.
No Murray. Kansas City is 25th against the run this year.
Yeah, good
No
pick.
DeMarco Murray, as we said. And this should be a Derrick Henry game here. Mariota has been awful, I think, in general this year. And like I said, 25th against the run, they should be giving Henry the ball consistently. Plus, he does have the ability to catch the ball in the backfield. Don't mistake the fact that he's huge, and people think that a guy like that can't catch the ball. He can.
Last week, he had like a 66-yarder.
Exactly. Guy can ball. It's a big boy. Can run some guys over. This just seems like a game where he should be highly featured. Like, they were going to want to keep Kansas City up the field, keep it low scoring, and keep the ball on the ground. That should be their strategy here.
I like that, especially with Murray out. I mean, it wasn't a complete timeshare. Now he's legit the guy. They have to ride that. I like that. I went with an expensive guy. An expensive guy at running back this playoff matchups here. I like Alvin Kamara. He is $9,100, so he is the second most expensive running back. But last week, Kamara only had 15 offensive touches, scored 28 points on FanDuel. That's unbelievable. I don't know if I've ever seen something like that.
Yeah, the kickoff return for a touchdown.
That helps. I didn't want you to bring that up.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. But the 2 games we talked about earlier when they played the Panthers, he had 12 in the first matchup, and that's when AP was still there, and they weren't even featuring him. They weren't even giving him a good look. The second game, when AP was gone, 2 rush touchdowns, 5 catches, 27 FanDuel points. I told you he was the second most expensive running back this week, but man, he's averaging over 17 fantasy points per game over the entire season, and that includes all those games when he wasn't even featured and they were playing musical chairs at running back. Like, that's amazing. This guy's going to be such a high pick next year. I think you have to play him over Ingram when it comes to playoffs in FanDuel.
I think AP needs to hold hands with Carson Palmer and then just walk off into the sunset.
See ya.
What's an AP? I was so confused when you said that name.
Oh,
He's done.
Man, how quick we forget some of the greats.
He was one of the greats of all times. I just hate to see it end the way it is.
Yeah, literally leaving the Vikings where he's like a surefire Hall of Famer. Not that he isn't anymore. It doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah.
But then he plays for the Saints and he plays for the Cardinals, and no one's ever going to remember that stuff. So I have a bargain guy I wanted to talk about, and it's only if McCoy doesn't play, so you kind of have to hold out on this one. But Marcus Murphy is only $5,400.
No.
Yeah, dude.
No.
Last week against the Dolphins, he actually
his
looked pretty
last
good.
name is Murphy, no chance.
Charlie Murphy. Show me them titties. Dude, he got a little action last week against the Dolphins once McCoy went out. 7 carries, 41 yards, not a touchdown, but he would be the primary guy. Like, Tolbert's going to get touches, but I think the Bills are going to rely on the run game here. Touches are going to go to him, probably over Tolbert. So if McCoy can't go, $5,400 for a running back, dude, you could get some expensive guys if you're spending $5,400 on a running back. You don't like it, though, because of his name.
Yeah, Murphy, no. And, like Marcus Murphy, Mike McCarthy, anybody who's got, like, double M in their name is just really negative for me. Mark Murphy, the president of the Packers. It's just not, it's not the double letters thing. Ted Thompson. I just really hate people with double letters right now besides Tyrod Taylor. But
I agree. Marcus Murphy's a terrible running back name. Not even a good football name. It's a good actor name.
I'm just, being a fan of the Packers, I'm just not happy with people with the same first letter of their first name and their last name. I don't know what I'm saying, but I mean, you should see the drama. You should hear the drama here in Madison, Wisconsin, over this, what's going on in that front office right now.
Sky's falling, man.
People are freaking out.
Yeah.
They got rid of Edgar Bennett. They got rid of their offensive coordinator, their quarterback coach, Alex Van Pelt. Mike McCarthy, I'm sure you don't listen to any of this stuff. Today he came out, and he was the cockiest fucking guy you'll ever hear. He's like, this has nothing to do with anything that we're talking about, but he was like, if we're gonna bring in a GM, he's got to get along with me. Like he's talking like he's making this decision, and it's like I don't even know why you're still here, dude. Like everything's falling apart around you. I don't think you should be talking about this. He's just this highly successful. He's so fucking cocky, and it's annoying me.
But is that okay? So this is where this is what I want to ask you. So is that really his fault? Okay, they have one bad year. They finally don't make the playoffs, and Aaron Rodgers doesn't play forever, and that's literally the reason they didn't. Why are you blowing up the coaching staff? Why is everyone on McCarthy? Isn't this a front office thing?
No.
Not preparing the team to survive without Rodgers, or even when Rodgers is there, not supplying him with enough weapons to get over that hump? Like, I don't feel like this is a McCarthy thing.
If you don't ever watch a Packer game, you don't understand that you're watching some of the worst play calling and that Aaron Rodgers has to cover up half of it. Because when the game is down, when they're down in a game like Seattle in that blow game, I was looking through that second half of that game just to see, and they're like 70% of their plays in there was run, pass.
Yeah.
Run, pass. Run, pass. Like, they kept doing that. They kept going conservative. And then the time they were struggling against the end of the year 2 years ago and the beginning of the year last year, when they were struggling to just beat man-to-man coverage, McCarthy was just running just straight-up routes where nobody was crossing each other's face. There was no, like, design big plays. That was one of the biggest things. He doesn't change his playbook. Yeah. He keeps the playbook over and over again. And then he'll run, pass.
You are a train wreck right now.
I'm sorry.
You got to go to the hospital and get your fucking chest looked at because you are going to throw up.
His play calling has been the same thing ever since he started, and all they do is sit here and rely on the best quarterback in NFL to cover up every blemish they have, whether it's bad roster decisions, getting rid of guys that they shouldn't be getting rid of, getting rid of guys too early, and calling bad plays all the time and playing conservatively. It's just really annoying.
So one of my biggest things that I've thought about the Packers recently is they're one of the best teams you can have if you're playing from behind because Rodgers is going to take over and make it his team. And this is also why I think maybe coaching is probably to blame a little bit. They're also, I don't want to say one of the worst, but you don't feel confident in that team when they have a lead. Because of how they play and because of how bad their defense is.
The worst.
Yeah, their defense is bad. They're not built to play against teams that are going to pass a bunch. Like that's
Every team should play like they're like 20 points behind.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably my biggest beef. Like you shouldn't. I always just think of that Lions game a couple of years ago when they were up like 28-3 at half or whatever it was, and that ended up being a game. Like there's no reason that kind of stuff should be a game.
Yeah, it's all the way from the top to the bottom. It just needed to be changed. It's just everybody's freaking out that Russ Ball might be this. Yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter.
LeVar Ball. Did you have another receiver outside of Michael Thomas? Who do you got?
I've got wide receiver Keelan Cole.
Ooh.
5,800 for your bargain pick versus Buffalo. Keelan Cole has a touchdown in 3 of his last 5 games.
And I think he has 3 for the season.
Yep, he does, but that's 3 of the last 5 games, so he's coming out at the right time, right?
Yep.
He has 100 yards receiving in 3 of the last 4. One of them's 99. I counted as 100, so fuck you
round
guys.
up. I like that.
Yeah, I rounded up to 1 yard. 100 yards receiving in 3 of his last 4 games, and Buffalo is 20th versus the pass. And this is a warm weather game. You've got good weather. You're playing in Jacksonville. You're going to expect them to run it, and he's been a target-heavy guy these last few weeks, a guy that's been getting open and surprised a lot of people. I really like Keelan Cole in this game.
Yeah, I'm going to stay away from most players in this game just because, like I said, we might set a record for punts here. And I don't know if it's going to be that nice of weather, man. There was ice in Tallahassee. Jacksonville's north.
That shit can flip real quick, though.
Yeah, they'll be fine. I'm sure of it. My receiver, you're going to love my receiver because it's Robert Woods. That's your boy.
Oh, yeah, I do love Robert Woods.
Robert Woods is 7,400 this week. I talked about Goff being the most expensive quarterback, so I really like the idea of taking his primary option, especially if it's under $8,000. Didn't play last week. Rams set a bunch of people 2 weeks ago, so the last game he did play, he only scored 5 points versus Tennessee, but that was one of those huge Todd Gurley games. And like I said, I think the Falcons' primary goal on defense should be to stop Todd Gurley. So I think that's going to open things for Goff, open things for Woods. So the 4 weeks before that game against Tennessee, he was averaging 20 fantasy points per game over those 4 weeks. That's one of the highest during that span, if not the highest. Atlanta's only 13th against the pass, so it's not like they're special in any means in that category. And I guess Woods is somewhat expensive. He's the fourth most expensive option, but man, you're pairing Goff's go-to guy as the most expensive quarterback. I just like the idea of using Woods, and I think you're going to agree with me because that's another man crush guy of yours.
Yeah, I always like me some Robert Woods. 7,400 though. He's more expensive than what he has been.
Less options too, though.
Yeah, there's a lot less options. Also, it's going to be 60 degrees in Jacksonville, just so you know.
Oh shit, that's fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, baby.
Good deal. What's your tight end looking like? God, you must
No
hate
tight
this
ends.
position.
I looked at him and I fucking hated him. I did. I actually sat there and I looked at him and I set my phone down and said, "I'm done prepping."
I don't even need any tight ends this week.
I didn't want to pick one.
If your other guys do well enough, you don't even need a tight end.
Yeah, just choose one of those top 4 guys that you have written down there.
Yeah, my thought was literally the top 4 tight ends are the only guys that you can even consider. And if you haven't looked at FanDuel or DraftKings yet, it's Travis Kelce, Greg Olsen, Delaney Walker, and Charles Clay.
Yeah.
And like you said, Charles Clay is kind of injury prone, so I don't even know if you want to use him.
I know.
If you can afford it, I say take Kelce. I mean, just go with the top guy. If not, go with Olsen. I mean, he's the second most expensive guy. But
I didn't like any of it. I didn't like it at all.
Olsen is $1,200 cheaper than Kelce, so that helps. But he's been cold lately. But like you said, if Newton turns it on, if they play with kind of like a reckless abandon, it's likely that Olsen's probably the primary benefactor of where his balls are going.
Big old dick swag is what I call it, bonds.
Yeah, where his balls are going. So
Yeah.
that's what I've got. I say use Kelce or Olsen. Not much thought into that one because you really don't have that many options. Anything else you want to talk about on this Wild Card Weekend podcast before you wrap it up?
I gotta ask, how's your parents?
We gotta wrap it up. All right, we're short on time, so
Your
thanks
mom's
again
basement
for
treat,
listening. As always, check us out on Twitter. Any questions that you'd like answered there, we're at Loaded Box. Check out our website. You can find the link to it from Twitter. We've been sharing links on Twitter to the blog. We've been sharing them on Facebook, so be sure you check
out
those
the Titty
out.
blog.
Check out DJ's Titty blog, and that's probably one of my favorites. Yeah, Sunday then, after the games, we'll be doing a Wild Card Weekend Instant Reactions pod, so
Butt naked.
check that out. DJ might be naked. Cam Newton's
Nope,
big.
both of us.
So with that, why don't you wrap it up?
Bye.